What is going on, guys, and welcome back. If you haven't already and you do enjoy this video, please click that subscribe button, as it really helps me out for the future. Okay, so you've clicked on this video because you want to know how to get better at Valorant in time for the Ranked when it does actually officially drop. As of now, as of the 10th of June, we still don't know when it will drop, but however, I still stick to my prediction that it will be done after about 2 weeks after launch, which makes, I believe, the 16th of June. So, I reckon about another week is all we're waiting for. I'm hoping, anyway, I'm hoping it's another week, because, when Ranked comes out, you can bet there's going to be a hell of a lot of content on Ranked. Okay, so the first thing I want to say as my first tip on how to get better at Valorant is, first things first, you need to make a Crosshair. If you haven't already made a Crosshair, go up into the Valorant settings, right up in the top left, click on it. As you go into it, as you see in the middle of the top right, it says Crosshair, and I already have my Crosshair made, as you can see on your screen now. I'm going to reset it to default, so I can sort of like go through the whole process of how it works and basically develop how my Crosshair comes about. I play with every single option here, as you see. I might time-lapse it, as I'm doing a voiceover right now. I might time-lapse it so it makes it a bit quicker. But first things first, make a Crosshair that you are comfortable with. Okay, so the second thing that you need to prioritize is practice on your Crosshair placement / recoil. The reason why I'm also adding recoil into it is because recoil isn't a priority as such, because recoil patterns are different for every gun, and some guns will have more recoil, like the LMGs will have more recoil than the ARs, ARs will have more recoil than the SMGs. But recoil isn't a thing that you need to work on as such, because in my opinion, if you learn crosshair placement to 150% and you have 50% like lockdown for recoil, for example, so you know you've practiced so much on your crosshair placement, you've got that down, and you're happy with your crosshair placement, but your recoil isn't quite there. My opinion, that's how I play, because if your crosshair placement's good, you need 1, 2, 3 bullets. You don't need to hold your left mouse button down and then just spray and wiggle your mouse around until you hope to find their head. If you look at any of the pros from CS:GO, they will only ever really spray. Either they're if they're incredibly confident, or the fact that there's like 3 people on site, they've one-tapped one person, they've one-tapped the other, and then they need to quickly like spray to potentially get the other person. But you won't instantly see someone of a pro running on site, hold the left mouse button down and start spraying at every single one of them, because it is just not, it's not the right thing to do on a game like Valorant or CS:GO. The best way to practice on your crosshair placement is, as you're seeing on screen now, jump into the range, and I'm just basically, these are a few of my highlights of basically trying to find out what my aim sensitivity is. That's also another thing you want to have a little tinker around about, to try and find what your aim sensitivity is that you want it on, because if you find that your aim sensitivity is too high, then your crosshair placement may be good enough, but it won't be as good. As you can see, I tinkered around with my aim sensitivity and got 26. The last one I had 27. I'm tinkering around with it now. I end up putting on 0.88, I think it is. That's the one that's happy for me, and my mouse settings. Some people just leave it on 1 and then set up into their mouse settings. As you can see, I'm demonstrating a few of my shots here. Not all of them are great. Some of them I get like quite a few nice one-taps here and there. Don't get me wrong, these are people that aren't moving, so they're a lot easier to hit. However, crosshair placement is incredibly vital, purely for the simple fact is, if you've got good crosshair placement and the person you're shooting at doesn't have very good crosshair placement, 8 times out of 10 you're probably going to win the gunfight. As you can see, like, I'm aiming against the wall where I think their heads are going to be, so regardless if they're to my right or left, all I have to do is really move right. And as you can see, I found the best aim sensitivity as I possibly could, because I got 29 out of 30, which is actually not bad. And as you can see, recoil, not the best recoil pattern in the world, but it's something that I guess I can work on for the future. But here's a few examples of decent crosshair placement. I'm not going to say that I have the best crosshair placement in all of Valorant, because I definitely don't. But it's basically just predicting where your enemy's going to be. Here's a decent example where I think they're going to be. I was more aiming at a chest. At Reyna's chest rather than her head, because I aimed a tiny bit lower. If I maybe aimed a little bit higher, I might have been able to get the kill. But in the end, I do get the kill anyway, thankfully. And as you can see now, I'm moving around this corner. I'm sort of like predicting where I can, well, potentially where Sova could be. I knew he was going to be at the back of site because he wasn't going to be at the front because where Raze is. However, as you can see, I don't have the best crosshair placement, but it's decent enough. Like here, my crosshair placement does drop a little bit, but I get a nice flick up to Sage's head and get a straight up one tap to her head. Quite nice. I enjoyed that. It was a pretty nice kill, actually. But as you can see, my crosshair placement isn't great. It's something I'm still working on myself. I'm not going to sit here and condone myself saying that, oh, I'm going to be in Immortal or I'm going to be the highest rank in Valorant. I've still got a lot of work to do. However, I will be putting that work in. And I'm still doing it now. I'm trying to work on my crosshair placement. I am working on my own recoil. Obviously, I've made my own crosshair. But yeah, essentially, crosshair placement can win you a gunfight. Okay, so my third tip is do not overbuy. Overbuying can cost you rounds and eventually can cost you games. Overbuying, as you can see on your screen right now, the only time you'll ever catch me overbuying is really on the pistol round because I'm confident in my ability with the sheriff to potentially get some kills. So I'll buy that, and hopefully if I win the round, I know that the next round I'll have enough to buy the shield, the full shield, and maybe the phantom, and maybe a couple of my abilities. Thankfully, we actually did win that round. So as you can see now, I am actually buying all of my abilities, and I bought the phantom, and then I left myself with 1,100 left. In my opinion, if you can leave yourself with over 1,000 credits left after having a full loadout, that is the sort of like the key, purely for the simple fact is if you do lose this round, if I do lose this round, then I know for a fact the next round I will still have some fallback cash as I did have that 1,000 extra. So what I mean by that is if you finish a round because you couldn't afford the phantom, so you decided to buy the Spectre and no pistol, and you bought all of your abilities and you have 1,000 left, you could have afforded the phantom. Only buy the Spectre, because if you trust in your own ability with the Spectre, you can use the Spectre that round. If you then win that round, even then, my opinion, I still wouldn't then buy the phantom the next round after that. I'd just leave myself with about 3,000 extra, because you don't know, especially in solo queue, you don't know how the game's going to go. If you have a full team, then maybe you can communicate with your team and etc. like that. But when you're in solo queue, you can't rely on your teammates. You can only really rely on yourself. So, like I say, if I'm left with 3,000 credits over, fine, I win the next round and I've got 5,000 credits over, that may be when I will buy the phantom. But if I've won a round with the Spectre, I probably won't buy the phantom or the Vandal the next round, purely for the simple fact is I did well enough with the Spectre. Why do I need to buy anything else? But the motto of don't overbuy is because if you start overbuying, then it can cost you your team, because if 2 people overbuy and 3 people don't, that round, 2 people are going to have guns, 3 people aren't. If you win that round, great. If you lose that round, the next round, 2 people that bought the guns aren't then going to have guns, and the 3 people that did save are then going to have guns. It just creates such divide between your team, and again, it can really cause like a down spiral of losing games very quickly. And my final tip is utilize the agent you're playing. What I mean by that is do not pick an agent that you're not comfortable with. If you're doing it in unrated, yes. If you're doing it to get better at the game, pick someone who you know of and then work on the recoil, work on your crosshair placement, etc. If you then want to try someone new, that's fine, but make sure you are using the abilities. The amount of times that I've even done it myself, like I've picked Phoenix and then I've ended the round and I've not used any of my abilities. I'm like, well, why am I using this person? Because how am I going to learn them if I don't use their abilities? I know how to like play the game. I know how the game works. I know how some recoil of guns work. I know where to place my crosshair. However, if I'm going to practice that, why don't I just choose a agent that I've already used before so I know how their abilities work? Only focus on one thing at a time. Do not overload yourself. As you can see on screen now, here's a little demonstration of what I mean by utilize your agents. As you can see, start of the round, Omen walks around the corner. I'm thinking, okay, do I just block him off as... well, if he gets pushed and dies, I know where they're coming from. In turn, I didn't decide to because Rainer started getting shot at, so I put a barrier here thinking, okay, no problem. If 1 or 2 people are there, cool, we found out where they are. So, I blocked that off because then I'm thinking, okay, now we know they're coming from that area, and that's okay. I'm going to repeat the clip now, just so you can see it, but and I'll sort of like explain it again. I decided not to place my barrier where Omen was, purely for the simple fact I heard gunshots from Rainer's way. I don't want them to be rushing us because there's only one person looking the angle at that current time. So nothing actually came of that, but that's what I mean. You need to use your abilities, because if you don't, there is a case of overusing like I do there, because I overused my Q ability because I don't know why I threw 2 instead of 1. I should have just thrown 1 and then kept the other one. But it comes under utilising your agent, but do not overuse your abilities. Now here's another example. I'm holding one of my Qs to wait to hear footsteps. I hear a couple footsteps, so I throw that to slow them down because I don't want 2 or 3 people rushing through that corridor and potentially killing me, because then I'm basically leaving a site open to 2 people and I don't know how many people are coming through. So I decide to place 2 Qs down there and think, okay, just in case there is 2 people or 3 people there, I then end up using my barrier to cover that bit off, so now I know they can't come through. Now I'm going to pause it here. At this point, within quick sort of like thinking, I hear someone, or maybe 2 people, shooting at my barrier. So now I know at least 1 person, a minimum of 1 person, is in that corridor. I see Omen's dead. I have my ultimate ability ready. So then what I will decide to do, I've placed the barrier, meaning I can't get shot through there. So then I'll run to Omen, as I think that Reyna might need a little bit of assistance, because I've got Raze also covering the whole site, really, with a sniper behind me. So I now run over to Raze. I now run over to Omen to revive him. Unfortunately, Reyna does die straight after, but now that's fine because I'm going to pause it here. So, I've revived Omen. Reyna's just died, unfortunately. If she didn't die, then this could have gone a lot better. But Reyna died. That's okay. I've got Omen back. As long as I now keep him alive, because obviously the animation to revive is quite, to resurrect is quite, long. So as long as I keep him alive, I now know there was someone at that corridor behind me breaking the barrier. So, I've now revived Omen, made sure he didn't die so he can continue watching that angle. Now I'm going to play it again, and as you notice now, he's now okay. I'll find out he's okay. They blocked that off. I'm like, okay, cool. That's fine. I'm now going to go back to the corridor where I first heard someone shooting, and I managed to get the kill, thankfully. So now, that's what I mean by utilize your abilities, because now all of my abilities are gone. I've healed myself, but I resurrected someone to help out Reyna. Unfortunately, Reyna did die. However, it kind of did help me out, because if I didn't resurrect Omen there, then I would have been a sitting duck watching 2 angles. So, I now know that the person who was through the corridor, I've now killed. Again, Raze is still on the back of the site, so she can still cover that angle. So now me and Omen start pushing through this way. And thankfully, we did actually win the round. So that was my 4 tips on how to get better. And they're very minimal tips. There's a lot more things you can do. There's a lot more like, map awareness, map callouts, etc. Things such as trade kills, so don't sort of like let your teammate die in vain, etc. But they're for, like, in my opinion, they're a bit more going into the advanced section. If you learn your crosshair placement and you sort of like cover your own arse, then I'm sure, well, in my opinion, especially because I'm playing mostly solo queue games, covering your own arse is more important than essentially getting a trade kill, because you have no communication with your teammates. So running through the same angle as your teammate dying, he can't then tell you where he is, because, as I said in the past, most competitive games have toxicity on, and I turn voice chat off. I don't actually have any communication with my team, other than just I try and look on the map a lot. I try and look at the mini-map a lot, and I try and sort of like figure out what's going on in my own head. However, with those 4 tips, I'm sure that if you follow them, you will end up in a lot more results, just like this. Same game, we did actually win it 13-7, pretty decent win, enjoyed the game. I didn't play that great myself, as you can see on the KD, I didn't play that great myself. However, that was it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy, and like I say, I don't think of myself as an expert at Valorant. I don't think I am anywhere near the top end. I'm probably not even in the top 1,000 players. However, I have played quite a few games now, and I'd like to think anyone from, well, anyone who's going to place in around gold and maybe a rank up from gold, and the people that are below gold, I reckon I'll be probably high. Is it diamond next? I think it's diamond the one that's next, or it might be platinum that's next. Either. I reckon I'll be placing around there. I'm hoping I'll be placing around there anyway. But again, I don't preach that I am amazing at Valorant. These are just my advice that I'm working on as well. Like, I'm working on these tips as well. And even the pros probably still work on these day in, day out, because it's going back to the basics of what basically makes the game, what makes you good at the game. But that was it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Am I completely off my brain? But thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys all in the next Valorant video very, very soon.